The most anticipated event in Nigeria, particularly in the Niger Delta region of the country, has finally taken place with pomp and glee. That was the 80th birthday anniversary of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas, Nigeria's multiple emeritus federal minister and illustrious son of the Kalabari Kingdom of Abonima extraction in Rivers State, Nigeria. Simply themed miraculous 80th birthday anniversary celebration of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas. Proceedings formally kicked off at the Royal House of Grace International Church at Graceland Avenue, GRA Phase 3, Port Harcourt, River State, on Wednesday, the 8th of May 2019, the birthday proper of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas, with a church service to give spiritual backing to the milestone achievement. The service was conducted by Apostle Zili Agri, the General Overseer of the Royal House of Grace International Church, Port Harcourt, River State, Nigeria. The attendance of family members, friends, and loved ones of the celebrant can be described as most geopolitically balanced aggregation of Nigerians from all parts of the country, which eloquently signposts the detribalized and pan-Nigerian disposition of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas, the man of the moment. The dignitaries were Generals Alani Akinriade, Alabi Ishama, and Ike Nwachukwu, retired. Sir Michael Kiro, former IGP. Nigeria's former Minister of Transport, Dr. Kema Chikwe, who was accompanied by her husband, Chief Albert Horsfall, and wife, Chief Timi Alaibe, Ambassador Godnozi Gali, who represented Chief Edwin Clark, former Minister Odieng Ajimogobia, former River State Deputy Governor Chief Toby, the First Lady of Bayelsa State, Dr. Mrs. Rachel Dixon, who represented her husband, and former First Lady of Bayelsa State, Chief Mrs. Margaret Alamesia, led all the women from Rivers, Bayelsa State, and indeed the Niger Delta region to felicitate with Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas, the father of the Niger Delta region and a great Nigerian achiever in different respects. The service to mark the 80th birthday anniversary of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas featured a series of renditions of spiritually uplifting songs by different choir groups and soloists from the Niger Delta region and other parts of Nigeria. The reading of the only lesson of the service was done by one of the daughters of the celebrant.
Now the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and all the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of the music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be burdened, and the desire shall fill, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. For this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether be it good or be it evil. This is the word of God.
The praise and worship session was led by the RHOG choir and the choral voices of Port Harcourt, Yemoni Lutheran Church, Abonima. They took turns to entertain the congregation. The exhortation was given by Apostle Zidi Agri, who took the congregation through the checkered trajectory of the celebrant, Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas, with a twist, turns and travels, which culminated in his triumphant celebration of his 80th birthday. He admonished him to endeavor to give his life to God henceforth, and ended with a special presentation to the celebrant.
Today I'm so happy that you are 80. But I have one message for you, and that message is, Enoch walked with God. You have walked with Babangida, you have walked with Abacha, you have walked with Antonuku, you have walked with Ernest Adelaide, you have walked with some of the most powerful men we can talk about, your friends, the late Ali Baba, the Babangidas, all of those people. You've walked with them, but it is time to walk with Jesus Christ. The reason is this: I can walk with Bisi, and Bisi can clap for me. I can walk with everybody, but there is nothing as outstanding. Then you say, Agri, you know, when I finish all this government work, I'm going to make sure I get a band and we'll be going from rural area crusading everywhere. You have not fulfilled it. You will never die until you go to every rural community and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ as the only Savior.
In his testimony, the celebrant thanked God for granting him the uncommon grace to attain the age of 80 years after all the health challenges he encountered along the way. Alabo Tonye Douglas made a solemn pledge before God and man that henceforth he will give his entire life for the service of God.
I've never imagined that I was going to be 70. I was 70. And between 70 and these 80 years, I suffered a lot of medical challenges. People who know me will know that I'm always on the plane going in and out of London. I know all the doctors in Harley Street. And today, if I discuss medicine with you, you think I'm a doctor. Because I use my body as an example to analyze and diagnose what medical problems are. But even though, apart from all that and so on, this God I serve has never let me down. And I'm alive today. I'll tell you that apart from serving God, I have no honor any other body, society, anything to do. And I hereby retire from politics, all societies in which I belong, and I've led a lot of societies. And today, I declare in this altar before God, I have given my life absolutely to the service of God. I believe 4 things God steer my life I will do. I'll build a hospital. I'll build a church. I'll build a resort. And I'll build a university. Not for profit. Not for profit. And I'll follow you and be a man of God someday. Thank you very much.
The celebrant and all his family members were prayed for by Pastor David Ibiyume. The vote of thanks was said by Mrs. Bekinwari Graham Douglas Alabo, one of the daughters of the celebrants. Archbishop Winnie Willie Bunton gave the closing prayer. The reception took place at the Aztec Arcom at Kensarawiwa Road, Port Harcourt, River State. The opening prayer was said by Apostle Zili Agri. Again, the celebration of the great life of Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas continued with spirit-filled songs rendered by the choral voices of Port Harcourt, the Garden City Choir Port Harcourt, and the God Entertainment Group led by N.D. Arinze. The citation of the celebrant was read by Professor Nimi Briggs. This was followed by a flurry of tributes and testimonies in appreciation of the impact Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas has made in their lives and his many contributions to national development.
On behalf of the Bayelsa State Government, on behalf of my husband, the Governor of Bayelsa State, and the good people of Bayelsa State, today we rejoice with our father and the proud son of the Jola, Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas and family. We want to say congratulations from Bayelsa and the Jola Nation. We say to God alone be all the glory today. As I sat down there in the church and I listened to your testimony, I knew it was just the finger of God. And that God who has done it for you will give you many more years in His service. Today we say congratulations, our Father. You are a kind-hearted man. You are a man that is destabilized. You have reached out to many, and today you are enjoying the grace of God upon your life. And we know that this grace shall run even unto your children and grandchildren. I want to say we thank everybody who is here. And on behalf of my husband, who has been calling to say how things going, I want to say loves you dearly. The Joy Mission loves you dearly. You are a hero of the Joy Mission. And we say congratulations. God bless you, and bless you, and then the more. Thank you, and God bless you.
We're happy to be here to celebrate his 80th birthday. Something tells me that in 10 years' time we will all congregate again to celebrate his 90th birthday. And it's God's grace, and he has always been true to his maker. He's always been close to God in all he does. And Uncle, on this 80th birthday, I wish you all the best. I've never seen you as happy and as radiant as you are. I know that you will continue to enjoy good health. I know the challenges of health we've had, but those are behind you, and you will enjoy the next 10 years in great health and in great happiness. Congratulations.
Alabo, I salute you today. Alabo is a man of style, a man of glamour, a man of gold. Alabo, anywhere he is, there's joy. And I believe that that joy will follow you for the rest of the journey. And I know that we will gather here again in 10 years' time to celebrate your 90th birthday. My prayer is that as you age, you get stronger and healthier in Jesus' name.
About my brother, my close and great friend, my confidant. Ite, as we call him, has been me and him. We share so many things together, so many things. Above all, the fear of the Lord. Today, he has confessed before all and sundry that he's dedicated the rest of his life to God. Ite, congratulations. He will stay here with us on this earth, and he will celebrate, as I pray, today 80. Thank God. And I'm hoping that in the next 10 years, he will come back somewhere to celebrate the 90. God bless you and God bless his family. Thank you.
The cutting of the birthday cake was conducted by Chief Usijo Okocha, with the celebrant, his wife, and other friends in attendance.
L A B and O.
The celebrant then went on a very long video and photo session with his friends, family members, and admirers. Again, Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas thanked Nigerians for celebrating him at 80 and wished them a safe journey home.
I thank every one of you. My daughter will officially thank people here. I will tell you that I am very happy, very, very happy. And I said in the church, I'm now going to be a very strong evangelist. My people in the swamp who have great confidence in me, who have come, I tell you, all the great names of the militancy are going to congratulate me. And this is the market I'm going to. And I'll get 1 to 2 million for God. So help me God. Thank you very much.
The vote of thanks was given by one of the daughters of the celebrant, Ibiso Graham Douglas. Viscon Communications congratulates Alabo Tonye Graham Douglas on the attainment of the great milestone.
been getting better like Jesus.